Good evening, Working Dragon Mystic viewers. Here we are, Magical Coffee Hour. Got the coffee ready to go. Hope you all are doing well. I personally have had a very fun and productive weekend and week. I'm feeling great on this end. See who we got in here. Ben of Langley, good to see you. Angelo, glad to see you as always. Chad, welcome. Violet Star, good to see you. Um, Jade, good to see you as well. Glad you could make it. I have been watching your treasure trove videos, Jade. Those are looking great. Thank you very much for sharing those. Um, let's see. Hey guys, Maria, good to see you. Where Raven, good evening. All right, so now we got our coffee and stuff getting settled in. So we got a few announcements as always. If you'd like to support the channel, enjoy the work we're doing, or believe in the work we're doing, go to workingdragonmystic.com. You'll see Working Dragon Mystic Community. Click that tab. It'll take you to our locals. And over there, you can become a member. There's plenty of member content for free, but then there's supporter-only content, supporter-only live streams, supporter-only workshops, supporter-only shenanigans. Supporters get access to monthly spell workings, custom monthly spell workings. They get early access to courses when they release. They get random goofy updates of behind the scenes bloopers, shenanigans, me banging my head against the wall, problems I'm running into. You get to see an entirely different side of the shenanigans. And actually, our very own Jade, you all know she does a lot of videos for the channel these days, which I'm very grateful for, Jade. Thank you very much. And if you do enjoy the channel, give us a thumbs up. It actually lets the algorithm know you like us. It's very important, especially with all the changes YouTube is doing. So hit that thumbs up button. But Jade has been releasing her own bloopers reels, which a few of them, I'll admit, I queue them up and show my friends because they're freaking hilarious, especially the horseradish one, Jade. So consider supporting us over there. One thing that I should announce that I am sad to announce. It has recently come to my attention, thank you to a viewer for pointing this out to me, by the way, that Patreon did a update that for some reason text and video content just kind of it's there. If all the content that I do for supporters, they just automatically make it public, which is a little rude. And because of that, and because I've messaged them and everything, they said, no, this is how it is. You can't revert it back. I'm not going to be able to post supporter only content there and updates. That tease me off. Many of you know I've kept the Patreon open because some of you prefer the Patreon. And what's this? Creator, welcome to Tier 3. Had to update my payment method. No problem, Creator. Appreciate your support, mate. Lugs up to you. You got to update them cards. I know how that is. Or PayPal's or whatever you're using for that matter. But I know a lot of people prefer Patreon over the YouTube, and I get that. But after that, I'm not going to be able to continue posting over there. So I'm going to let it run for a month. I'm going to post a few things, and then we are looking at potentially just shutting it down. It's something I don't necessarily want to do. I will try and go back and forth with Patreon a bit more to see if I can get something worked out, straightened out, something. But if that doesn't change, I can't put the supporter only content there because then it's not supporter only. Their Patreon just going to keep splattering it to the public, right? And that's just not cool to the people who are, supporting the channel for that supporter only content. So I do apologize ahead of time for that, but I did want to be open and honest about that. I mentioned it at the supporter only live stream. I have posted it on the Patreon channel, so the Patreon people should know about it. But I know some people don't check Patreon that much also. So I wanted to make sure everyone was notified. And if you are wanting to support the channel, you don't accidentally sign up over at Patreon because you won't get the good content. So either the channel supporter here on YouTube or over at Locals is actually where you're going to need to go, just so you all know that candidly. I know bookkeeping stuff, announcements, boring as shit. I know. I apologize. Uh, but I also want to make sure you guys are in the loop, in the know, and totally candid with you all. Hope that helps. Brianna Smith, do you have to be black to practice hoodoo or voodoo? I'll be honest with you, Brianna, this is a tricky one for a lot of people, and because voodoo is broken into multiple different traditions. Hoodoo and voodoo are not the same practice, first off. Hoodoo is more of a root working practice. They overlap in certain areas, like the root working practices and herbalisms overlap. But then the more magical side of voodoo does not necessarily follow over into hoodoo. Hoodoo, in and of itself, traditionally is not initiatory practice. So technically, the answer for that one's no. But when you get into voodoo, there are very, very different traditions, and those traditions are based on initiatory practices. You have to be initiated. There's this modern concept that no, you don't, you can just pick it up and get going. Not really, you can't, unfortunately. Sorry, hate to burst your bubble. And if you're going to disagree with me and cry about it, that's your individual opinion, but there is that. Now, do you have to be black to be initiated? Actually, that comes down to the tradition and the particular voodoo family or voodoo temple to which you are initiating into. There are some of them that are strictly like that. Some of them come off, some of them just require it. Some come off, I hate to say it, but they come off truly racist, which I don't care who you are. I don't like racist people, period, in the story. But you do have to find someone where you can initiate into. There are a lot of voodoo families and practices and lines that will, it's based on the person, and they will take counsel with the lower themselves directly and the elders of that group or family line or whatnot, and about the initiation. And in those groups, I'll be honest, skin color never comes up. One of the things I don't, yeah, we've mentioned it, like Linda outed me in the really, really early magical coffee hours, that I have actually been initiated into a Louisiana Bayou voodoo family, the Bella family line of voodoo. I admit back then I didn't know what I was getting into. I was just seeking up as much learning and information as I could get. And my mentor's grandmother actually is the one that decided I'd be initiated. And the argument of my mentor at the time was, shouldn't he get a vote? And she looked at me and was like, well, what do you think? And I'm like, sure, why not? I didn't know what I was getting into. Voodoo is not like any other magical practice. There is a drastic difference. But due to its initiatory practices and the fact that there is a lot of it that you're not even supposed to talk about if you're not initiated, that's why I don't mention it on this channel. It's not a part of my practice I share publicly because of that. Weirdly, looking back, if I knew now what I knew then, I probably wouldn't have initiated. So I'm kind of glad I didn't know then what I know now, because it has been a very big part of my practice life, and the ups and the downs, the goods and the bads. But so it's a complex answer. It's not a simple yes or no, because it does depend on that tradition and that line. But again, hoodoo and voodoo are different. And once you're looking at the different branches, stylizations, traditions of voodoo, you've got to make sure you know which one you're getting initiated into. You need to make sure you understand what those initiatory oaths are, because breaking them has consequences, big, big, bad consequences. So that's the best answer I can give you. And before anyone asks, because I know last time Linda brought this up, I got like 30 emails that night. No, I will not initiate you. So just to Blanket, no. I do not take applications for initiations. I if I meet someone and the Loa personally put their hand on me and say, consider that one. That is the only way I'll consider it. But then also consider how much freaking stuff I have on my plate just as a occult teacher, teaching dragon magic, basic mage practices and stuff like that. It's very hard to take on a student like that because that is a much more intimate, detailed practice. But yeah, that's a great question, though, Brianna. Don't get me wrong. That is a great question. It is. And if I looked like I hesitated on answering that, let's be honest, this day and age with the world the way it is, answering that question can get a little. So I tried to answer it, we'll say, politically correctly as I could on that. And I hope I did a fair job with that. Violet Star, thank you. You never need to apologize. Well, I like to be fair about it, as fair as I can. Ben, hey, good to see you. Got some hearts popping up. Let's see, Vitki, do I need to work with the rulers before I reach out to X-Boon Well or any other specialty dragons for that matter? And how often should I work with him when I start? Generally speaking, specialty dragons, you should work with the rulers first. There are a few exceptions, and these are dragons who, for whatever reason, the rulers have allowed them to step outside that initial pattern and begin to work with people and to help them to grow and kind of get some basic interaction with dragons going. X-Boon Well is one of those dragons. And that's the reason he was one of the few specialty dragons that's published on the channel. Like, I've been asked if there's other specialty dragons. Yeah, there's a lot. In my personal notes, I have well over 200 specialty dragons in my private notes. In Dragon Magic 102, there's, I think, nearly 20 specialty dragons in that class alone. And then you're going to see more specialty dragons in 103. And even that won't complete all the specialty dragons specifically in my notes. But most of them, you do have to go through the rulers first. Most of them. That being said, X-Boon Well, you're going to get better results with X-Boon Well if you go through the rulers. Because X-Boon Well is not able to actually fully invest what he can normally invest in a person who just reaches out to him. And every step along that dragon magic path you take, from your guardian dragon, your co-magician, to working with the earth ruler, that is going to actually enhance the results you get from X-Boon Well. So you can't just jump the shark and get the same results, but you could reach out to him first. Now, that said, you do need to have a guardian dragon at the minimum to really get in contact with X-Boon Well. Co-magician does help make that better too. But even then, it's still not going to be as good if you went to the ruler first and spent time with the ruler. And when you start working with X-Boon Well, how long should you work with him? Honestly, the better the friendship, the better it gets, period. If you're looking for quick and easy, can you get results through it? Yeah, you can, but the results will never be what they can if you build that relationship up and that friendship up. I actually speak with X-Boon Well at least 4 times a month, and him and I will sit there and talk for 30 minutes to an hour, because him and I are constantly going over different things that we have in the works and in action. So him and I have gotten very close over the years, but I also spend time with the rulers too. So I spend a lot of time with entities. Magic is an investment. It is an investment of time. It is an investment of energy. It is not a quick light switch solution. You got to be willing to invest that. But it's also a lot of fun for a guy like me. I'm talkative, if y'all haven't noticed. So being able to sit down and run my mouth and talk to entities about comings and goings and plans and ideals and wisdoms and learnings, That's just totally up my chatterbox lane. And yeah, the Guardian and Co will be present if you're doing the ritual, because if you found your Guardian and Co and you're doing the ritual, anytime you begin a Dragon Magic ritual, they will be present. And you should be working with your Guardian and Co-Mag daily if you're doing Dragon Magic. Those two dragons you should be seeing daily. Creator, how does one get initiated into voodoo? Well, the initiation rites I can't go into detail on specifically, but you would actually have to find someone who is actually already initiated into that line and has progressed far enough along that line that they too can bring in somebody, or they can introduce you to someone who is qualified and at a position within that tradition to initiate you. And then both the elders of the tradition and the loas in which they work with, particularly what is usually called a family's patron loa, all has to gain that approval. You can't just wake up one day and be like, I'm called to voodoo. Because the simple fact is, creator, if you are truly called to voodoo, the initiator will find you. You won't have to find them. They will find you. So a lot of people feel that if they show an interest to it or are intrigued by it, its history, its lore, its research, they're being called to it. That's not necessarily the case. If you can't find an initiator, the general rule of thumb in voodoo is you're not being called to it. It sucks, but it does. And I've really pissed people off by saying that in the past, or actually I brought a few to tears by saying that in the past. But again, there's a reason why I don't talk about it on the channel. Alberto, have I ever spoken to a dragon on behalf of a beginner practitioner to gain clarity on their path? What do you mean by clarity on their path, Alberto? Because I have spoken to dragons on behalf of clients and beginning practitioners and whatnot. But there's also a lot of different takes on what it means by clarity of path. So, because there's a few things that, like, I could say yes to that, but there's also ways I could say no to that. And I want to make sure I'm answering that correctly for you. Can you work with the entities in voodoo without practicing voodoo? Nope. The entities in voodoo are directly tied into the voodoo current, and working with them without being properly initiated is 100% genuinely dangerous. You know how there's that old myth that there's always a cost to magic? That comes from this. There is a cost, and it is a big cost, and it is a hefty cost. And if you don't know the checks and balances and proper traditions that are applied to keep those working safe, you can get yourself in trouble very, very fast. So could you call on them? Could you work with them or attempt to work with them? You could, but it is very much not recommended. Because first off, they may not even answer you. If they do, they've often created thought forms to answer instead of doing it themselves because you didn't take time to initiate. Or if they do answer you, they give no mercy or quarter for a mistake. And I didn't make a mistake when I said the word mercy, because these are entities that can be violent. They can be spiteful. They are more human than other entities in the fact that greed, anger, jealousy, the more negative emotions exist within them on a very high primal scale, as is revenge and pettiness. So you do need to be very, very careful. Even the most benevolent one of them has negative consequences if not worked with correctly. Brianna, how do you know if an entity accepts your offering? Well, okay, this generally depends on what you mean by accepts your offering. Like, if I want to, thank Odin for something, or just, not even thank him. Maybe I'm just wanting to, give him an offering to show my gratitude for him or something. If you make an offering, an entity especially no strings attached. You can guarantee the entity is going to take the offering. Give them 1 hour to take the energy from it. That's it. There's no really need to know. Now, on that same thing, um, if you want to work with an entity and you're wanting to ask entities for specific things, you need to learn evocation, which you're going to need to learn at the bare minimum. You're going to need to train up your arcane hearing so that you can have an active conversation with them. Because if you train yourself to that point and you can have that active conversation with them, you should have no issues knowing whether or not they accept your offering for whatever it is you're asking for. Now, if you want to go with faith magic, you just go on faith that you made the offering. They're going to take their part into that, which a lot of people who practice like also true and heathenry, they do a lot of their rituals in a faith manner where they just ask for something in a form of prayer. They give the offering and they go on. They don't wait for confirmation. They're trusting in that faith aspect, and there's nothing wrong with that by any means. From the magician's standpoint, though, you need that active conversation. Um, on the third hand, you have the situation where you done something, you screwed up, you pissed them off, they're upset, and you're hoping to get your tushy out of hot water. Again, you need to be able to have that conversation to know whether or not this actually got your tushy out of hot water. More often than not, if you actually genuinely did something to piss them off that bad, you're going to need more than just, oh, look here, I have, simple offering. There's usually going to be a process and tasks or outline and time and dedication that's going to be into getting your butt out of hot water. So it really comes into the magician. There's no, like, I know you can pick up books and people's like, well, if the candle burns this way, or if the food does this one little thing here, those are not reliable by any means. Your best bet is to develop those arcane senses, hands down, Brianna. I personally know how you feel if you're looking for an easier way, because I looked for them. I was hoping for them. And unfortunately, some of the things that I thought were signs, once I actually got to the point where I could have that one-on-one verbal real-time discourse, I found out that most of those things were BS, and most of those offerings I thought they were getting, they're like, yeah, I never heard you. It's like, oh, crap. So it's one of those things. Let's see. The creator also had a question working with Xboon Well, and I have a spell working set up to get this business grant, but I feel I could be doing something more. Any suggestions? Look to our prosperity spell on this channel. There's a long-term ongoing prosperity spell with a green candle here on this channel. You could easily utilize that spell weekly or daily, and with the target of that spell to be that grant and that business, that would be an easy thing you could do. When you say any suggestions, it's like, I can give suggestions coming out my ears, what's enough, what's not enough, because you can fall into two traps. There is the ability to do something more, and then there's the ability that you're feeling you should do more because you don't have the trust. The doubt's overtaking you, and what you did wasn't enough already. And that doubt siphons the power away from your magic. So it's a hard balance there. And without knowing the details of the situation, which I don't want you to share here, because when you're dealing with business grants and stuff, you want to keep that private, believe me. But it would be hard for me to give what I would consider effective suggestions without the details. But the candle spell is a general suggestion that I can give that would definitely help in adding into that. Awesome, Drake. So thanks a lot. Friendship is always what I look for, especially when it comes to dragons. Honestly, that's one of the best things you can work with dragons. So you're heading the right direction, Vicky. Completely feel you on that, Drake. I talk to my matrons ears off when I meditate with them, and I'd pause midway saying, am I bothering you? And they said, no, this is enjoyable. Yeah, it's weird. It really is, because like both me and Odin, we can sit and be quiet for hours on end, but then at the same time, both of us will go hours on end without shutting up. Um, like Odin actually made the joke once to me. He's like, you'd have figured you getting on live stream and being able to just talk to hundreds of people for hours on end weekly, you'd eventually run out of things to say, but you haven't. And I'm like, I I'm Southern. I don't know if there is an end to what we have to yammer about. I don't know. Maybe. I ain't never met a Southerner who ran out of things to say. Let's see here. Let's see. Well, when it comes to barriers or hurdles, your confidence in yourself without being egotistical and overcoming personal doubt is going to be the biggest ones. Also, working to develop focus and discipline. Those are definitely the largest obstacles for the beginning practitioner, especially in Dragon Magic. Um, you also need to start working on giving a candid, unbiased, focused view on yourself. You need to see the good, the bad, the ugly in you. You need to see your flaws. You need to see your good qualities, all those. And that's actually one of the harder things outside discipline and focus for most people, because we don't like turning that critical lens upon ourselves. But in order to walk a balanced path, which is what Dragon Magic demands, you really do. Like, you really need to know where your faults lie as well as your strengths. And that's getting harder and harder, especially in the modern day, where we're trying to tell people you don't have faults. You're perfect as you are. You're a new, uniquely you. Well, you're uniquely you, but you still have faults. Everyone has faults. Um, what you do to attempt to balance those will matter. Does that mean you have to eliminate them and purge them? No, because they're still a part of you, but you need to understand what they are so you can balance them. And you need to understand it, because if there is something you want to change, you have to be able to identify it before you can seek to change it. Like, I have gotten a lot of emails and flack from people pissed at me because I'm trying to get in shape and I'm working on my health. And because I'm working on my health, does that mean I'm losing weight? Yes, I'm losing weight. Am I happy about it? Yes, I'm happy about it. My goal at the outset was not to just lose weight, because that really didn't bother me. I wanted to improve my health. I wanted to improve my blood work and all those numbers that go to longevity. Um, but the amount of people who are pissed because this fat redneck is losing weight is incredible to me. They're sitting here spouting, "You're perfect. You don't need to lose weight. You're healthy at any size. You're look. I've seen my blood work. I'm not healthy at any size. There are plenty of health issues that I have that altering the way I eat and getting in shape is fixing. Joint pain being one of them. Many of you know I've had a very active, rough lifestyle. I've shared that. I've done a lot of damage to my body. Had fun doing it. Was it stupid? Yes. Now that I'm getting older, I'm starting to begin to feel it and pay the price. I want to do something to take care of my joints. I want to live a long time. I want to be here to bug people or help people for a long time. And I'm making the choice to do that and try and improve my health. If you don't like it, don't email me about it, because I'll be honest, I'm probably going to read the email and make fun of you, honestly, because I would prefer to laugh than get mad. Now, if you want to email me a suggestion and you want to send me an article or details or something like that, um, I love information. But if you want to just yell at me or criticize me, save yourself the time. Go yell at somebody who's going to care, because it won't be me. Oh, we got a super chat, $10. Oh, GK, thank you, mate. Hey Drake, with perfection paralysis, can I start Dragon Magic 101 even though I don't have arcane sight or hearing yet? How soon does one encounter the lesson to reach out to the guardian and a Comag? Okay, I'll be honest, it's been a little while since I've been directly into the course work, but it's within section 1 or 2. However, before that, there's also some meditation exercises and everything, and you can begin it. Like if you don't have your arcane hearing and sight developed fully, I don't care. It like GK right now. If I say, all right, sit down, close your eyes, GK, picture an apple. Think of an apple. Can you see an apple? Can you see an outline of an apple? Can you see a ghostly apple? Can you see anything resembling an apple? Can you feel what an apple might be like in your thoughts? If the answer to that is yes, go sign up. Can you get better as you practice? Yes, but you do not need perfection. Dragon Magic 101 was designed for the beginner. The beginner. Not the beginner who's learned these things. It was designed for the beginner. Like Dragon Magic 102 strictly states you need to do 101 first. 103 is going to strictly state you need to have these done first before you do this. Some of the newer projects coming out, because there's actually a I'm working personally in my working right now with the dragons. I'm repath working both the Tree of Life and the Cliffothic Tree, and not at the same time, I should reiterate. But this is workings that I've spoke with the rulers and talked about putting into a course. The thing is, I'm not sure where this is going to fit. This may require you to do 103 before you could do either of these two courses when they're ready. When they're ready, I don't know. I don't have a thing. I don't like. I'm still working through it myself. So let's not even begin to ask when they're going to be available. But when there's a requirement, I put it in there. And I do view a requirement as a requirement. Like if there's suggestive things that might help, I might mention them. But if it's not a requirement, it's not a requirement. You all have heard me say I do think the meditation course can help, but I don't view it as a requirement. So there's that. But it's within the first, second, or third section that you'll be working with your guardian and your co. And some of the lessons that working with your guardian and your co with are actually further developing your arcane sight. It's so many people, they took the leap to give it a try, and they've hit so many roadblocks with arcane senses, and then they get to that section with their guardian dragon, and they start doing the spell working and the exercises during the bonding time with their guardian, and they can't put into words the leaps and bounds that 1 to 2 week period makes on their arcane sight over some cases they've said years that they've studied. I don't make any claims of how big leaps and bounds are. I think it's very personal for all of us. But I do love to hear when people are talking about that, because that shows the work I'm doing is so helping people. But it also does give me something to pull on when, like yourself there, GK, you're into that perfection paralysis and you're worried about how good you have to be to do it. Because the answer is you're good enough. Go do it. If you want to try it, get in there. Give it a try. You will not insult the dragons by trying 101. In fact, they're very likely to jump in and help you even further. Even if you can't find a guardian, you'll notice that just being on that path, like when you're doing the dragon's flame ritual and other things, even though the dragons themselves may not be coming there, it's more the energy, they're going to send that help along that energy current, kind of like putting a message in a bottle and letting it go downstream to the person who needs it. But it's really been amazing to watch how many people's improved from it, mate. And I'm a big one on that perfection paralysis. I got to be careful not to fall into that trap myself. And again, mugs up. Thank you for that super chat. All right. Where was I? Let's see. People are going to be stupid. That's what we do best. That is very true. That's a true statement. Look at me now. I'm talking to dragons. There you go. Amen. Amen. If you had ever told me that would have been a thing in my life, I wouldn't have known it. Let's see. Whoa, I'm way behind. I apologize for that. I've always been obsessed. Karma asks, "Hey Drake, a question. Any new update on the evocation course?" Yes, actually. I meant to do that during the boring part of the intro and the bookkeeping, but I didn't because it was getting boring, and we all hate boring bookkeeping. But evocation is cool, so let's talk about that. So yes, actually, this week I finished recording and editing the final project homework. So I need to go through, spit and polish the Spirit Codex, edit, spell check, those kinds of things. Make sure it's legible. Um, I need to spit and polish the actual course itself. Make sure all the thumbnails are where they need to be. Make sure all the text is where it needs to be. Try to make sure all the incantations that are mentioned to be below a video are below the video, as it were. I need to get the Spirit Codex fully uploaded into the course folder after it's edited. So we are officially at the spit and polish phase of this course. My goal, this is a personal goal, let me say that, is to have this in the hands of the supporters, because y'all know supporters get early access, right? I would love to have the course open and available to supporters by the end of November. That is my goal. I think that's actually very doable according to the Spirit Codex and how much editing and grammar work I need to do. Let's be honest, people. You hear me talk. I'm not the guy for grammar. We know that. Lord help anyone if they try to learn English from me. I don't even know that I speak English. I speak Southern. That's what I speak. But so my goal is for supporters to have access to that in November. If there's a delay due to grammar and over editing, I think it would push it to Yulish, I think, which means it would be fully publicly accessible to everyone by mid-December to New Year's, roughly, give or take. Okay, don't quote those dates. That's going to be roughly. It might be mid-January before it's everybody, but I honestly think having it available by the end of the month to supporters is doable, and it's going to be 1 to 2 weeks after that that it goes live to everyone. And it is a living course. So this is one of those courses where the more my research expands, the more my teaching methods expand, I'm going to be adding to this course. And if you purchase it, you get every addition and update automatically, no charge. Just boom, you get it. Just like that. Because I mean, you're buying an evocation course from me, and evocation is like, it's really a hard one to teach. I'm used to that one-on-one, being able to get immediate feedback while talking to the person or working with them in the same room. So this course was a really brain fry to try and record without that feedback. So I put everything I could into it that I thought made sense and communicated it clearly. But I also left it open-ended because as my teaching methods improve, because I'm always trying to improve everything, including my teaching, I want to be able to give that to the people who purchase the course as well. So I hope that answers your question there, Karma. But yeah, it should be this year. My goal is this year. And honestly, my personal goal is to have it by November. And I'm really shooting for that one. And I'm very close to it. It seems like I got the eye on the prize. The biggest thing that might slow me down is if I have to do some sudden YouTube recording changes or something, because that YouTube can slow you down a bit. But otherwise, I think we're good to go. And with Jade's help filming some extra videos here and there to help with YouTube, that's actually helping too. So everybody, give Jade a big thumbs up. Say thanks, Jade. Drake, how are you? I'm doing great. Adam, hope you're doing well also. Creator, has X Boonwell ever asked you to buy him pork rinds from time to time? I get the notion that's something he wants me. Yeah. The dude loves his pork rinds. Like, especially since I've gone carnivore, me and the wife eat a lot of pork rinds. We use them as crackers and breading and stuff like that. I tend to have to pick him up pork rinds. Also, or he tries to get my pork rinds. And now, dang it, that's my snack, boy. So yeah, he loves his pork rinds, and he will definitely ask me to pick them up for him from time to time. It's not uncommon for him and me to be talking. He's like, "Hey, before we talk next week, could you grab some pork rinds for me?" Sure, I don't mind. So yeah, that's definitely cool. GK, what is a spirit codex anyhow? So the spirit codex is actually going to be a collection of entities and spirits that is coming with the evocation course. So you're not just learning evocation, we're wanting to give you a codex of spirits and their associations of things that they're best known for helping with as part of the course. And there's over 100 different entities that are going to be included in the course, as well as the things that they're traditionally associated with, and sigils if they have them for you to be able to work with and evoke. So we're not just teaching you to evoke and sending you out on the internet to do research on entities. We're giving you an actual codex of spirits and entities to work with. And you get the course and the codex, $30. So right now you all know we're working very hard with the price increases and everything of websites and stuff not to raise our prices. So everything is still at that $30. And even if we raise it, we're talking like a max raise, which I don't want to do, of 40, but you'd still get the Spirit Codex and the course. And as long as I can afford to not do it, we're not doing it. And supporters, you guys over on Locals and here on YouTube, you guys are the people that make it possible for us to keep these prices reasonable. Thank you. Hope that answers your question what a Spirit Codex is. Oh, we got a super chat somewhere down there. Oh, Pipe Smoking Heathen, mate. Hey, mugs up. Great to see you. Hope you're doing well. Thank you for that. You have a great and profitable week as well. Take care and have a peaceful one. Let's see. Dragon of the West. Do spirits of a particular culture work better with people of a particular culture or bloodline? Nope. Spirits don't give one rat's rump about your skin color, your genetics, your blood, your gender. None of that. None of that means really squat to most entities. There's a few entities gender may come up, but it's rare. And if you're doing your research on the entity, you'll know which one that is. But yeah, they really don't care about your bloodline and stuff. Let's see. Let's see. I have a really important question, actually. How do entities / dragons react to intrusive thoughts? Because if I tell my brain not to do something, it does it immediately. I've cussed at them. So so intrusive thoughts, random thoughts, rogue thoughts, runaway thoughts, rabbit trails, any of these things. If it's not intended to purposely be directed at them, they don't care. But like if you try to cuss them out in your head and your intent is to cuss them out in your head, but you try not to vocalize it so they don't hear you, well, first off, they don't need to hear you. And if it was intended and directed at them purposely, not just a random runaway thought or intrusive thought, they're going to react as if you cussed them out because your intent was to cuss them out. So it really comes down to that intent. You're not going to be able to hide your displeasure or your cussing. But now, if you're literally trying to control your actions and everything, and those thoughts pop up, they're not directed, they're not acted upon, they're just random thoughts. They really don't care. The worst you might get on occasion is them telling you to work on your mental focus and work on your mental discipline. But beyond that, they're using it as a teaching opportunity, nothing more, because your intent wasn't to badmouth them or cuss them out or something. So yeah, in those cases, they really don't care. If that makes sense. Mugs up and clocks up for Jade. She's the best. She puts up with our craziness. And tops all the rest. Jade, you're amazing. Yep, that is true. I don't know how she puts up with me. I've got to be like, I'm that crazy friend. Like, I will say things just to throw you off balance, to make you laugh at the wrong times. I am that friend that remembers details to the letter, and I will definitely use them to make a joke when I get the opportunity. So, for better or worse, I'm that friend. Good news, I'm never boring. Bad news, I can be an asshole. um, Angela Drake, do you know which dragon might have inspired the Dragons Love Tacos book, since they do love their snacks? Angela, I actually do not. I'll admit this is one of those questions I've thought about, but I've never, like when I'm actually in ritual, I completely forget about it. So I've never actually asked it. Now, if I was to, let's say we decided we were going to place bets, okay, and we went with, let's just say we're going with the 9 rulers, and we're not including the billions and billions and billions of specialty dragons. My money for that would probably go on Ingus Salor, would be the one I would put my money personally on. Was it him? I don't know, but that's the one I'd put my money on because he does love spicy foods. He's also very, very endearing with children. I know he's a very brash. He can be very harsh. He's very energetic. He can be terrifying. But there is this ferocity and this protection about him when it comes to children that is so nurturing that it you almost forget that ferocity until he looks away from the child and looks at you. Because with the child or the children, he is so gentle, but that primal ferocity and rage is still there. He just knows that the child needs to be protected and watched over and guided. Yes, it needs to be allowed to make the mistakes. It needs to fail. It needs to fall. It needs to scrape its knees. That's part of growing into a true functioning adult. But it also needs to be shielded from the dangers of the outside world to an extent, and that shield's pulled back more and more as it ages. So, with that understanding of children, with that love of spicy food, I really, really would put my money on Ingus for a children's book about tacos. I really would. Um, That's if we're just picking one. Like otherwise, I would think that if that person's working in Dragon Magic, maybe their guardian inspired it. Because anyone who has a guardian, you know how freaking playful and energetic, and well, just foodies guardians tend to be. They never seem to stop eating. Um, but yeah, that would be my random pick. See, oh crap, we jumped. We've not been jumping around as much as we used to. So hey, um, the Creator Spirit Codex. Where can I buy it? And it's not published yet, mate. It's going to be part of the evocation course. So once the evocation course releases, it will be part of the evocation course over at the online school. The online schools, workingdragonmystic.com. Click the online school tab. You'll see it there. It's I. There has been discussion of whether we want to publish a Spirit Codex as a book in and of itself. We don't know that we're going to do that though. That's a project for a later time. This Spirit Codex that we're specifically talking about here, Creator, is part of the evocation course. So when you purchase the course, you get the codex as well. As to Hecate, there's too many entities in there for me to remember every entity that jumped on board and went with it. I do remember reaching out to Hecate about being part of the course. I do not remember if she was down for it or not. And I don't have the list in front of me, mate. But I will say there's a good chance she's in there. There's a good chance she's in there. Let's see. So hope that answers that. Let's see. No, it's never intended. Why would I do that? I don't know why. There are people who do it. There's strange people out there. So it's just I have to include it as part of the description, Vicky. I didn't think you were doing it. It's just part of the description to make sure it's a full and complete answer as I can give. You all know me. I don't shut up. I try to get. Sometimes I may give too much information, but I do the best I can. Let's see. Teach yourself spirit conjuring. If you're a 13th generation witch, would the spirits that worked with the previous 13 generations work with you, or would you, or do you get new ones? So the outside certain traditions, the ideal of generational passing of spirits does not happen. That being said, that if a family has a grimoire book or collection of spirits that they've worked with for generations, unless you've done something that those spirits won't work with you, they will work with you. In fact, that's largely what ancestral spirits are. They're actual ancestors that have either that are part of the family by being actual family members who've passed on, or it's an ancestral tradition where you work with a specific collection of spirits. Um, but it doesn't require the number of generation doesn't matter. It's the practitioner, the generation, the bloodline, the consistency. Those don't make it easier, harder, better, lesser, stronger, any of that. It still falls on the practitioner, their individual dedication, and their work. And you could work with those same ones, or you could get new ones depending on the magician. It's not a requirement either way. Adam Muhammad, can you please give an analogy of how big the elemental dragons are? So yeah, as you go up, the nine rulers do actually seem to get larger and larger based on the element that they're working with. So the four rulers that are on this channel, the four first rulers, those are the smallest ones. Terra Fauna would actually extend the entire reach of the Appalachian Mountains in North America. So that's like several thousand miles long. Like she could lay on them the way a cat lays on a laptop. Picture that in your head. Um, and if you actually go over to our merch store and look at the artwork for Terra Fauna, she's laying on a mountain range in that artwork for a reason. Um, the other four rulers would be of equal size within their elements. So Ingus Salor would be a fire dragon equally as large as that. Zephyr Sil would be an air dragon, very, very long, even possibly a little longer because he is the Asian Ling kind of stretched out. And Cora Allegra would easily be able to stretch the length of the U.S., though she does remain in watery environments. That's if they were on the physical plane. But we also know that they cannot necessarily be on the physical plane because they're so big and the energy around them so intense that they would literally, their energy would rip our planet apart. But we wouldn't survive the planet. Um, the next two, the ruler of light and darkness, those two are slightly larger, but still in that same ballpark. The next true, real mass, well, okay, not ballpark, because both of those two, their wings could block out the sun. Their wings can block a whole hemisphere. So you're getting very large. The spirit element dragon, it usually appears in an Asian Ling serpent style dragon. It can easily wrap around the planet. No issues there. And from there, they start getting to the point where our planet becomes a footrest. Up to the Chaos Ruler, which is the largest one. In general, he's larger than the Milky Way. Those would be the best analogies I could give you, mate. Which their dangers working with them also go up. That's why they had me remove some of the videos on the higher rulers. Actually, all the videos on the higher rulers. I still hope they'll let me post those back at one point. I'm wondering if they'll let me after 103 is available, because they mentioned having the tools to work safely. And I think 103 might be the tools they meant. I'm hoping. Fingers crossed. Let's see. That's so adorable. I think you actually mentioned English Solor when I first told you about the book, because you said he liked having Taco Tuesday. Yeah, he's big on Taco Tuesdays. He really is a Taco Tuesday guy, which still weird that a dragon knows what Taco Tuesdays is at times, but it is one of those things I love about him. Viper Trent, watch your videos a lot. First time here on stream. Love your work. Oh, mate, looks up to you. Thanks. Appreciate it. Glad you're enjoying the channel and the work we do here. Also, glad you can make a live stream. Hopefully, you'll join us for more of them. We get on here, we get goofy, we learn some stuff, we have some fun. Let's see what else we got. But thank you a lot for that, Viper Trent. Like that name, by the way. That's a good handle on your internet there. I like that. Is that what kids call them? Are they handles still? Because I know for my generation, your CB handle and stuff like that. That's why I call it a handle. And why do I have a fuzzy on my shoulder? Oh, crap. I know what that is. I just bought a new fluffy robe, and apparently my robe sheds and it's getting all over everything. I'm going to have to wash it. Anywho. But yeah, do you kids call those handles still, or do they got a new name or something? Anywho. I have had a dragon lay on a laptop and tell me no more work today. Apparently, even the dragons think I'm a workaholic from time to time. Yeah, I started watering when you said Milky Way. Yeah, the Chaos Ruler is terrifying. There's no way to describe him other than using that word. Yeah. Creator, I should start having Taco Tuesdays in honor of Ingus when my property is set up. Hey, there you go. Honestly, for anyone working in Dragon Magic 101, I don't think I mentioned it, but if you wanted to do Taco Tuesdays, especially once you get to working directly with Ingus, do it. He will love it. Violet Star, see you next week. Take it easy. Were Raven, how can you tell if an entity is speaking through you through your arcane hearing as opposed to differentiate your thoughts? This is where it comes to know yourself. So you, yourself, your thoughts, you are all one. If what you're hearing is a differential from your speech patterns, your thought patterns, your emotional patterns, these things, because it can even come through in your head. It can sound like your voice oftentimes, especially when you start beginning. But if the speech pattern's there, if it's stuff you don't know, stuff you can't consider, stuff you don't normally think about, when it's an alien thought from self, that's the best way to tell. But that also requires self-knowledge. That's why understanding the self and self-knowledge is so important. Like, go check out our video on the 28 laws of magic. Knowledge of self is like one of the top two, if not the first one. It is so important. That's why examining the self, looking at the self, focus, meditation, these things all help us gain those. Spending time quietly with self. A mage, you should be able to shut all sound, all lights off. You should be able to sit in absolute quiet with your own thoughts. If you can't be left alone with your own thoughts, if you don't find yourself good company, you have a lot of work as a mage. That's harsh. A lot of people don't like to hear that, but it's true. Any practitioner of magic who actually seeks self-mastery and self-empowerment, they need to be good company with themselves. No music, no entertainment, no phones, no nothing. You be able to sit quietly, just you, and do it for an extended period of time and be happy. But those are the reason those meditation exercises and stuff are foundational for all forms of magic, is because they do help you understand you. And the more you understand you and your thoughts, you can identify when it's not your thought, even if it's in your voice. Does that make sense? because that's, I know it can be a tricky one to articulate, but that that seems to be about the better ways to articulate that one. That's also a great question. Absolutely a great question, Where Raven. And you're telling me us tiny little specks of dust can contact a being? Yep, yep, we can. Oh, dragons love. Well, they eat traditional foods, but they also eat weird crap. Like I have found egas chopping on rocks and iron. It's like, hey, you want this? It's like that's iron, Angus. I don't eat iron. Humans don't eat iron. Oh, you don't know what you're missing? Just starts crunching on it like we would ice. Um, I mean, when your gut works like an actual incinerator, must be helpful. Yeah, they love indulging in foods and stuff, but they're also quick to inform us that since we have to worry about our physical abilities, we have to control our indulgences. So it's like that sucks because I like food, but yeah, so you got to balance that. Everything's a balance within dragons, ain't it? LOL. Not sure. I'm going to be 30 soon. I call it a handle or username in common. I'd say too. Okay, so well, see, I think I'm 42. Yeah, I think I'm 42. Um, I'm sure Jade or my wife will correct me if I'm wrong on that. So I'm a little bit up past you, but yeah, okay. So at least in the 30s, it was still a handle. Cool. Username common, but worked with handle username is common to say, but worked with Magic before Goetia Dragon started with DJ Conway. Open my world to start off. Hey, Viper Trent, you're absolutely right. I didn't know Dragon Magic was a thing until I had a really weird encounter, which I've shared before. I ain't got time to share it again. But ultimately, that encounter sent me to Conway's works. I started working with them and listening to them, and they're like, all right, technically, this ain't what we want you to do. We're going to deviate. We're going to change. We're going to present you with new information, and you're going to make better progress. And I was like, well, you all heard me earlier. I love to learn, so I jumped right on in both feet, and that's where everything I've learned has came from that point. But if it wasn't for Conway's initial works, which I did get to speak with Conway before she passed, she's the one who encouraged me to publish, and I found out from her that her publishers required her to change a lot, and most of the stuff that I was finding that drastically differs from her works, she had found too. So I thought that was kind of a fascinating little check mark confirmation for me. One person asked, "How do I know she's not just blowing smoke and good vibes up my ass or not?" I don't know. Um, all I can say is that she was totally backing and confirming what I found, and at least one or two things that she brought up that was in my notes that I never brought up to her. So at least those two she brought up. So that was not good vibes and smoke just being blown. So there is that. But yeah, we all got to start somewhere. Creator, no, I think I might have missed your question about near death experiences, mate. I do apologize. Um, my apology. You may have to catch me on a supporter only live on Friday or next Sunday on this one because we are running out of time and Jade is already throwing clocks at me. And near death experiences are really fun. Well, they're kind of scary, but they also make you feel really alive, don't they? So, yes, I would love to hear it when we can track that down. I apologize for missing it. Um, it's been a busy and wonderful chat tonight, people. This has been amazing. I loved all your questions. I do apologize if I missed it, and I'm still clearly behind because this thing just jumped past Jade's clocks. Um, that does work out because I thought it would be a different or unfamiliar voice. In time, you will start to see your senses will develop till the voices are different. But initially, starting out, it's going to come through most often in a voice familiar to you or your voice. It gets a little tricky from time to time there, and that's just easier for your arcane senses to process in your brain to be able to process the incoming information because of that. I know a few people that never changed from their voice. They know the speaking patterns and everything, and those are always different, but it stays in their voice. I'm thankful that's not the case for me, because y'all know I hate editing because I hate the sound of my own voice. So I'm yay. But hey, we got to do what we got to do. All right, everybody, this has been a lot of fun. Thank you for all the questions tonight and joining us. We've had some really good questions in here. We got a Kitchen Witch video coming up Tuesday. Hope you guys enjoyed that. And for those interested, the Goetic series will be continuing. Don't worry about that. I'm going to be shooting another one very soon coming up. I am going to work very hard on getting that course up by my date, which is the end of November. I do again apologize for the delay on this one, because again, I'm so used to teaching this one-on-one with direct immediate feedback. It's been a learning experience for me in my filming and my teaching and stuff. So bear with me on it. I am working, and we are at the polish phase, and you all have no idea how glad we are at we're at that polish phase, because I am taking a month or two off from filming courses. After this one, I need a break. I seriously need a break. I'll still be filming YouTube, but I won't be filming classes. I think due to fan feedback, supporter feedback, and emails, it does appear I will be doing the Norse Magic class after the break. So yay. For those of you who's been looking forward to that one, I will be starting to film that based on viewer demand, as it were, which I'm actually kind of looking forward to. It's been a while since I really deep dove into some Norse stuff. I mean, I work with Odin and Freya quite regularly, but really deep diving into those magics, I love it. So I'm kind of hyped about that myself. So I'm not sad with your all's choice. I think oh, Drake said he needs a break. Okay, I deserve that. That is amazing, Angela. Oh man, that was great. Yeah, Viper Trent, definitely join in. We start 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I think I got that right. Yeah, even I need to pull back on my workload occasionally. That doesn't necessarily mean I'll pull back on my work hours, but definitely the workload. I shouldn't have started filming a course before and during a move. That so many things were just set back because of bad thinking that I could do something that I wasn't able to do. But lessons are learned. Next time we do a military move, I know not to be, if it's coming up, not to start a course. Okay, so all right, everyone, you have a fantastic week. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep working. Keep doing everything you can to learn something new every day, so that tomorrow we wake up a slightly better us than we were today, even if it's just that we learned not to do something or got a little wiser because of a mistake or something stupid we did yesterday. Those are things that can still improve us. Remember, falling down is not failure. Giving up is failure. Get back up, dust yourself off, keep on trucking it. You will get to your goals if you continue to pursue them. Self-mastery, self-empowerment is not easy, but it is very much worth it. I do truly believe that, and that is something I try to live every day, and I would encourage you all to do the same. And until next time, everybody, have a fantastic week. I look forward to chatting with you next Sunday. Take care. Good night.